what's going on, champs? I'm Aaron Teodosio. Welcome to an Immigrant's Life podcast, my podcast about immigrants and immigration and everything in between. Thank you for listening and downloading the show, and thank you for supporting my dad.
Welcome back, Immigrant Nation. Another week, another new episode. We just finished celebrating our 100th episode, and I'd like to thank those who watched the YouTube video. It was a lot of work, but I figured I gotta go hard since it's a milestone episode. And by the way, I got plans cooking up in the future regarding videos, so please don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. That really helps a lot. I would like to have more listeners or viewers over there, so please support. And of course, thank you for the ones that downloaded and listened. I appreciate you all. Let's keep going to the next 100 episodes and more. Speaking of going, please keep giving An Immigrant's Life a 5-star on Spotify, and please continue giving a positive review on Apple Podcasts. The number's going up slowly and ever surely, but I'd like to have it go a little bit faster. You know what I mean? So thank you for the ones that I have given us 5-star and reviews, and for the ones that haven't, please go on ahead because it really, really does help a lot. And if you are on Instagram and Facebook, why don't you also give us a follow? Our handle is at An Immigrant's Life. You get to see pictures of our guests, audiograms of the episodes. Also, I've started using IG Reels to share my life to all my followers. So please check it out. I got some positive review about that. People saying that it's nice to see that I'm sharing my private life. Again, like I always say, I'm a private person, so I try not to share too much. You know what I mean? However, if you want to reach out, ask me some stuff, you can always email me and send me a message on those handles. Now, let's talk about the episode. I really admire our guest this week because after losing his cousin from a drug overdose, instead of wallowing in grief, he decided to use that horrible experience and create something beautiful and powerful. He didn't wait for a hero to save him. He made himself his own hero. Guys, this one's a heavy hitter. So let's not waste more time. Without further ado, let's get into the show. Isa, dalawa, tatlo. Today's guest is a rapper and a comic book creator. He drops bars like Nasir and as creative as Will Sportacio. Everyone, please welcome Mark Teodosio.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Peace, brother.
What's going on, man? Thank you for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for bringing me on.
For sure, man. Before we go on, please tell the Immigrant Nation how they can reach you, or if you want to promote anything.
You can reach me. Instagram is the best way to catch all the visuals. At The City Needs You. The City Needs You, all spelled out the way it sounds. That's the publishing. I'm the writer and creator of the Realest Bayani comic book. You can follow me at bayani.nyc. I'm that Filipino New Yorker. Peace, brothers, sisters. What's good, tribe?
I love it, man. You're cool, man. I love your music. I love what you're trying to do for the culture. I really do appreciate it. We do appreciate it.
And I know the Filipino community's definitely reciprocated the love I showed in learning about my own culture and just tapping in as a Filipino American in New York. You know, we only get like a paragraph in history in World War II, you know?
Exactly, you know. They say that the Poland got leveled in World War II. Manila was leveled.
Right.
Ain't nobody know about that.
Hard body, yeah. They were infiltrated, actually.
Mm.
You know, and it's just the history of the Philippines. You know, we know that through the interactions between the tribes outside of Lapu-Lapu with the Raja Humabon, Filipinos selling out the country, right? But it all comes with government and rulership. Power corrupts all.
Exactly. Before we talk about your Bayani, your Realest Bayani, and whatever else, how about let's give the listeners some background on you. Born and raised in Brooklyn, but ethnically Filipino.
Yeah.
Who was the Moses of the family? Who cut that Red Sea and crossed that line?
Estela Galas, Estelita Galas, rest in peace. That's
Mm,
the
rest in peace.
Lola. She came through, cut through the Red Sea. Know what I mean, and showed up on in Brooklyn, New York, which was amazing. And channeling through her life through different places. Moving, marrying. So she's the matriarch. You know, of the Teodosios. My father is her youngest son. So yeah.
What year was it when she moved?
Oh, I can't even go back down that far in the family tree. But yeah, my father came in like the 80s or the 70s. I'm sorry. Yeah, he came through like the Filipino Travolta, like Saturday Night Filipino Fever.
Yeah, but that was big back then, man. With the bell bottoms.
Yeah, yeah, he had that, but it's crazy because like I saw old school pictures of him,
Mm.
and he had like a friend of mine spotted a Gucci belt on him. He would have like, and I kind of had the same style with him because I have eczema, so sometimes I have to cover it with like long sleeves button ups, like in the summertime with shorts,
Mm.
so I look like I'm always on a cruise or some shit. So I stole his style a little bit.
Hey, man, you didn't have to steal it, man. It's in you.
Yeah, facts, you're right. Fresh off the boat vibes.
You know what I mean? So I mentioned you're from Brooklyn. Take us back to Brooklyn during those early days.
Wow, Brooklyn, man, New York City, the best energy to be born in as, a first gen American, from any culture. You could be Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Dominican, Mexican, but being Filipino, being born in New York, rarity of the minorities.
Mm.
People thought I was Chinese. And it was just like, then they're like, yo, Chino. I'm like, yo, man, like I used to get mad, like, yo, bro, I'm Filipino. So then they just ended up combining Filipino Chino into FC. Then it
Mm.
became like at some point, like I was eating all the fat on the lechon. So
Mm.
I got fat, like I was getting mad chubby. So they called me Fat Chino FC at that point. And that was like Brooklyn. That was just like it was fun days. You had to be really witty too. If you were to chill on the stoops in New
Mm.
York, like you had to be able to snap back on the stoops. Otherwise, you got people triple teaming you, like from other cultures already teaming up on the Asian.
Mm.
So and being raised out there, like I said, like being one of the rare minorities, like you could get bullied growing up. You have to fight. It was a fun time, man. It was the best time to be molded as a Filipino first generation.
Mm. You got into a fight?
Yeah, we definitely had to fight. My pops put me in ninjutsu after that. He put me in ninjutsu school, so I was like,
And it worked?
nah, but yeah, because my freshman year in college, I got into a fight. Right, it was after a rap battle, so I'm
Mm.
battling some Spanish kid, whatever the case is, and somebody from the crowd threw a pen at me like at my head. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? So I was looked at who it was. I saw him. And then after the battle, decision was made. I went into the crowd. I lost the battle, by the way. I was a freshman. He was part of a Spanish fraternity, the kid I
Mm.
was battling.
Mm.
So I walked up to the dude. I was like, yo, what's up with that? He was like, yo, he grabbed my hands and then I just lapu him. Boom. One hit a quitter. He went into the crowd like this. Boom. And I was like, yo, that ninjutsu training.
Got them fucking Pacquiao overhand right. You know what I mean?
Like some type of payoff, for all those dojo.
What do you think about bullying? Like, do you think, of course, it's not good in a way, but sometimes it makes you resilient. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot, and it sucks when people don't have the same kind of temperament, like where they could take it or flip it, you know, or you know, it's just a natural part of growing up too. I remember being part of the bullies at some point,
Mm.
for other kids that we didn't know probably had autism or other things that we just weren't aware of.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And you feel bad later when you grow up, right? They add you on Facebook. You're like, oh shit, I used to make fun of this guy all the time. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And it's just like you didn't even know, like, dude was like autistic or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Well, what I did was when, as you said, as you get older, you get matured. When I remember people that, I used to bully too, I just send them an email and saying like, "Hey, dude, I'm really sorry. I was an asshole. I was young. I was dumb. I was trying to, I was in a group that like trying to be like cool and whatnot. So you kind of do it. Plus, kids are kids. Kids are dumb.
Yeah. You see it too when your kids go through it, I guess,
Yeah,
or you see some younger sibling, younger family member getting bullied.
I
You're
know.
like, yeah, I went through it too, bro. Sometimes you just gotta fight, bro. You gotta fight.
That's what I tell my kids, man. Never throw the first punch, but always make sure when you throw the punch, you make sure it counts.
My dad told me that after he knocked some kid out in class.
But like it's hard. Like I was very tiny, very skinny, very small kid growing up. But man, I got fire. You cannot bully me. I will fight back. You will
Yeah,
beat me
yeah.
up. Guarantee you'll beat me up. But I promise you, I'm taking something from you. Could be a piece of
A
your ear, whatever it is. I'm
piece of
taking
your
it.
ear.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
it's a
now it's
lapu
hard
lapu,
because
bro.
it's hard because growing up in the Philippines, it's like you gotta fight. You know, and here it's like they like, hey, no bullying, no physical. Yo, my kids are getting physical. They're getting whatever, and what they're not allowed to retaliate. And then when they retaliate, they're the bad guys. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we just be like that as parents. Like, I know I'm gonna have to come to a meeting or something for my son in the future, and just be like, both you kids are really dumb, man. You should just be cool and try to get girls. Why are you fighting each other?
Yeah, I always tell I tell my kids. I said, hey, if you start the fight, you know, I'll get mad at you. But if they start the fight and you make your punch count, go get it.
It sounds like Pacquiao treating his kids.
It's so funny about Pacquiao, right? Because obviously he's like national hero now, and everything. When he was coming up, when he was just 18 years old, I remember watching him. I remember watching him. They used to have this show around like I think like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. We were in elementary then, and we used to watch him. And a cousin of mine said, "Hey, you should wait for this guy. His name's Pacquiao, and this guy's a lefty, and he pack a punch." I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And back then there was no recording. You gotta wait and hopefully that he fights. That night he fought and he knocked the kid out. I'm like, this guy is amazing. And from then on, I watch him from that guy, that kid, to like a superstar. And now it's nice to see him, like be superstar and whatnot, except for running for president. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, more.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you, why do you think Filipinos love hip hop?
Because it's an alienated culture. And it also comes from the struggle. So any immigrant who's trying to learn English, that's probably the best way they learned English was hip hop. They learned all types of literary tools, alliteration, rhyme, sentences. They learned New York slang, West Coast slang, you know, uh, and it's cool, you know. It's being the underdogs with the coolness though.
Exactly. I get it, man. Like, hey, man, I like it. My kids are into hip hop, and but now the new hip hop is like more like the mumble rap, which some of them I appreciate and listen to, but I try to teach them that also that like, hey, this guy is rapping this way and talking about these things because of this guy. I try to educate them.
I think visuals appeal to them more than us trying to teach them like lyrics that mean something. Like, because me being a hip hop artist, I feel like even talking to that generation, it's like talking to the kids, and not even that it's a bad thing that they lead the culture and they because the hip hop I grew up with was just as violent, just as drug promoting, you know, uh, marketing, styles for the culture,
Mhm.
but it's pretty much the same wave. But I think it's cool when you teach them the history of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I never forces them to. I don't have like, hey, you gotta listen to Pac or listen to Biggie or whatever. No, I usually wait for them to listen to something, and then I'll come in. Like recently, my eldest he got into Eminem. I don't know how. I think it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever. That's when I said, "Hey, why are you listening to Eminem?" I'm like, oh, because of this. And then I said, okay, well, he's cool. These are his old songs and why he's cool. And you know, there's a guy that produced him, Dr. Dre, and through that, I kind of like help him
Eh, Yeah,
learn the history. You know?
right, right. And that introduces them to other things too, like um what like the visuals to it. Like the visuals work the most. 8 Mile, showing 8 Mile to a kid, like they will feel mad inspired. It's like us watching Beat Street, you know,
Or Rocky.
or Rocky, like stuff for that generation. And they made Creed for this generation, right?
Exactly, man. Definitely, definitely. When did you start rapping? When did you realize, like, you know what, I can rhyme?
More like when I was in college, because like it's one thing to write, but to really perform is the true, like it's almost like martial artists just training in the dojo. Like you never know your skill level until you go to tournaments and meet other students from other schools and compete, you know? Even with sports. Same thing for hip hop. Like anybody could write a rhyme, but can you really rock a crowd? Like that's the true essence of an MC, master of ceremony. Can you rock the crowd? How long can you rock them for? Like, you know, and like how long can you stay in the game? You know?
So, who pushed you or what pushed you to get on that stage that night, the first time you got on the stage?
Friends, people that were day ones that also rap. You kind of it, it's like going to war with an audience. Like, can you capture their attention? And you kind of want to do it with people you're comfortable with at first, and then at some point you learn to excel. You start breaking that mold of being shy. Um, my first performances was probably when I was mad young in the Neo Filipino associations.
Of
They,
course,
they,
man.
they had
You know,
me they,
Filipinos.
they had me singing old school stuff.
Like what?
Twist again.
How about my way?
Que será, será. No, I never did Frank Sinatra. I didn't have that kind of voice.
You don't have to. That's
Nah,
I don't know. Do you see that in other culture that like it pushes your kid like, hey, perform for your tita, you know? You show the
yeah, for
dance.
sure. Yeah, where the Jackson Five came from. Where all the talents came from. They had to perform in front of their family.
Yeah, I guess that's how our connection with the culture, with the hip hop culture.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you started rapping and performing, did you envision yourself to be like, I don't know, like making it?
Making it. Yeah, yeah, definitely imagine myself making it. But the way God opens the paths is totally different from your expectations. I thought I would making it getting signed, something like that. But that takes a real strategy sometimes, or it could be draw of luck, like a lucky draw, like you went viral. This generation could go viral, I guess, starting with like Justin Bieber, right? Totally like being superstars, like right off the internet without even going through like the stages, you know. But I did imagine myself making it, and it's just crazy. I remember a rhyme that I said where I go, I made it without making it, and it's really all about inspiring others. Like not everyone's timing is the same. Because I still believe like there's a door for me to open where all the hip hop I've been made will become something like of a telltale itself. Well, they'll go back and be like, oh, he was also a hip hop artist too, like that Bayani creator, and still be creating music with a younger generation, because I'm already like at the age of legends, people that are legends. I'm at their age. So it's like, wow, like if I didn't blow up as an artist in this time, at least I kept working to this point where it could be like, look at his prior works, and now look at what he's doing. Like he's producing younger artists on the Bayani soundtracks.
Speaking of Bayani soundtrack, man, that thing is fire, man. I was listening
Thank you,
to it.
man.
Awesome, man. Like Soul to Soul, it's probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, those are the freestyles. Those are the freestyles that we did. And that's what I mean with like staying in the loop with your talent, like continuously putting out new stuff. Hip hop is an ever evolving culture. You know what I'm saying? Every 5, 10 years, styles change. You know,
Exactly, man. Who makes the beats?
there's multiple producers.
Mm.
Right now, I'm really working with E. Jacobs. Nave is dead. He's a kid from Colorado. I've been working with him pretty closely, like consistently at least. And there's other producers that I work with other than E. Jacobs, but yeah, so many producers, man. Like over time, like who produces what kind of sound,
Mm.
and who could like change your sound. I was working with a kid named Alexander Roy, and these are like not like super known guys. They're just as upcoming as myself. But like sometimes you'll meet those exceptional talents.
Oh, yeah, definitely. How much have your goals changed since you started and to now?
It changed with like investment. Like I'm the main investor. So like after some time of like pushing hip hop for so long and saying, like maybe I'm not tapping into, any influential keys. Like but with Bayani, it seems like if I focus my attention on being a comic book creator, a producer of it, I can meet major directors or people that might want to push a Filipino or Southeast Asian superhero, whether it's
Mm.
independent. Because if you look at somebody like the creator of Kick Ass, that went super viral and became a major film. It actually catapulted films, shows like The Boys on Netflix. I mean on Prime right now. And I'm not getting paid to promote it, but the point is indie creators. There's a lane for us. There's doors to open. Filipino anime called Trece dropped last year. And Bujitan and Kadro Baldacimo are Filipinos that been in the comic book game since 2009, probably. They said they were pushing it for that long.
Mm.
I was talking to Bujit Tan. I reached out to him just, in congratulations of somebody else pushing the culture from the comic book perspective and getting on something like Netflix. That's major.
Hmm, definitely. So let's talk about Bayani, the realist. I love it. First of all, thank you for sending me the copy. I love it. I ate it up. I just like, I need more,
Yeah, good, man.
you know. But yeah, so tell us, how did it start? What's the inspiration? Tell us.
Uh, the Realest Bayani started in 2016. I started writing the script. Decided to create it, and I was inspired by several factors. There were several things that I was looking into, and things that were introduced to me. One being the Filipino politician Duterte.
Hmm.
I was definitely inspired by the and I want to be specific with these things. I was inspired by the controversy that
Hmm.
followed his political um agendas and his impact in the Filipino uh country itself. In the Philippines, like it just seemed really like a Punisher vibe. And I
Hmm.
was like, damn, like the president is really legalizing vigilantism to a degree.
Hmm.
And I was just like, does anyone else see this? you know So just observing that as an American and being a comic book creator, I was really inspired by that political climate. I was like, this has to be spoken about without being an attack on anybody, but
Hmm.
being an expression of it. So I'm neither for or against. That's something that I reserve. What I'm saying, just as a creator,
Hmm.
but I was really inspired by what was going on because I didn't even know it was going on
Hmm.
until like media starts getting involved and pushing the truth out there.
Yeah, it's very as always, politics is always a complicated subject, especially the Western media trying to, meddle or report whatever. Like they say, oh, it's violent. And trust me, it was violent. And I didn't agree with when he came out, but they don't know, man. Like,
Now let's talk about what was the effect. Drugs? Is the drug game still going on out there?
it's never going to change, dude. It's never going to change. It's never gonna change. Like when Reagan says war on drugs, there's still drugs.
Facts. Actually, some of the drugs they were warring on got legalized.
The main character, who's the inspiration?
Main character, inspired by my cousin Marlon Ramos. I've definitely like explained this to almost everybody, from the person I'm selling the book to the people interviewing me. He's definitely been the inspiration, and him passing has been like something that I've kind of learned to channel through the book. You
Definitely.
know, I feel like just his name alone is super common in the Philippines. Ramos is like, how many Ramoses are there?
I
You
think
know,
Ramos is like the second most normal or famous last name in the Philippines.
yeah. So I was like, yo, Marlon Ramos, like, why not? And I always say Ramos, you know what I'm saying? But Ramos is like, I like saying that better. So I'm gonna start pronouncing it like that from this interview.
It's all good. Yeah. Hey, man, you're welcome. But why him though? Like, why can't you be the main character?
So like in a lot of stories, and I try to emphasize this in this book the most, uh, that none of us are the main character in our stories. You know what I mean? No, we could act like it, right? But without a lot of other people that were main characters in their own stories, they may not, that we would might not have advanced and became who we were. So like I didn't put me because I'm not the realest Bayani. I mean, I'm the creator of it, but there's realer heroes than me. You know what I mean? Way more realer heroes. I'm just a creator. But at the end of the day, Marlon came from like the worst adversities, like coming from the Philippines, right? And just the peer groups, you know? You grow up, in the Philippines, you come to America, boom, join a gang. You know, he's in the Philippines, in California, he joins a gang or whatever. And that lifestyle and his own experience made me say, yo, gangs is a problem everywhere. Let me bring it to the Philippines because he was part of Bahala Na gang, BNG, which was a real Filipino gang, like real ass gang, and I made that kind of like the saying in the comic book. Because he used to be on Facebook and he'll like post in codes, like gang codes. And it was weird because I used to see it and be like, what the hell? Like, but I realized later that these were symbolic to his gang of what he was in. So maybe people in the Philippines saw it and would respond to it. I don't know. Uh, I'm not really somebody that would decode that, but I realized that he would do it with that purpose. And it just really fascinated me that he came from that culture and then moved to New York with my family and turned his life around. So the element of his ability to rise above like the negativity that he already learned, I felt like that was the perfect virtue for a superhero character to come from a bad beginning, to go through trials and improve yourself and become the best later, and it's the best you could be, at least the best version of you. So, he came to New York and really cleaned up his act, and he met his demons again, and had a drug overdose here in my home, right downstairs from this room that I'm interviewing in, where I found my cousin. So, I speak about it now and almost like storytelling, because he's part of the story, and I'm part of his story. And sometimes, like, I realize the creative therapy of being this writer, because I could justify parts of his life that he probably didn't get to, you know? So
How
it's
old
like
was he?
he was 36 when he
Oh
passed,
my
37,
God, he's
36,
so young.
37. Yeah.
I did some research on you. I heard that you're the one who found him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually mentioned that in an interview before that I woke up late that day. I wasn't employed. So I'm adding stuff I never said in other interviews. I was unemployed at the time and I used to wake up mad late. But the fucked up part about me waking up mad late is that who knows when I could have saved them. Cause I woke up, I was like, yo, I'm mad hungry. Let me see if Marlon wanna make some of that chicken with the soy sauce, the Marlon sauce. Yo, Marlon! Go downstairs, and he's there.
Hmm.
He wasn't moving. I tried to wake, like I was trying to tap him, like, yo, bro, cook some chicken, bro. And his whole body was wild petrified, like it was like frozen. So I was like, the fuck? And he had his password, his passport on his chest, like almost like how mummies are buried. How they like he was holding the passport on his chest.
Why?
And that, super poetry, bro. it's like the way I look at it is like his soul traveled to the Philippines because he didn't see his son. He was going through depression, dealing with living out here and not being with his son.
Hmm.
So in the Philippines, he when I went there, we flew his body out to Aklan in the Visayan region, and from there my cousin had told me like when we was like drinking like in the campo somewhere with like four guys with one bottle. I was mad questionable about drinking the bottle. I was just like, this is what y'all doing. I was lit. So I was like, fuck it. Nobody has like anything else. So I'm drinking with them. And he's like, yo, Mark, you said Marlon died with his passport on him? And I was like, yeah, yeah. When I got to his body and I had to bring it to the ground and, try to resuscitate him. None of that shit worked. All that came out of his mouth was like bile. Because I guess he might have choked uh
Hmm.
in his sleep or whatever was happening like in the moment because he was drinking pills. That was part of his overdose. It was insomnia pills.
How old were you
Uh,
then?
then I was about like 29, 30.
Have you processed that experience and the emotion that you felt there?
Totally. Yeah, totally. It was basically something that I merged with the book. Like
Hmm.
my dealing with that conflict and guilt and just like, damn, I could have been there if I woke up earlier or who knows. Like I said, we don't know when he died in his sleep.
Hmm. You can't do anything. No one could have done anything.
It's destiny, bro. It's just things that God kind of like allows to happen to change people.
Rest in peace, Marlon. I mean, he's not really gone because he's in the book. He's the main dude.
He's in the TCNY universe right
You know
now.
what I mean? So walk us through the process of creating your own comic book. How do you start? And do you think of the characters, what they look like first, and then write the story, or tell us?
The process is it isn't explainable, bro, because everyone's everyone's point of creating is different for a story. Some people start with the character designs,
Mm.
some people start with the story.
Yeah, but you. I'm talking about
Oh
your
yeah, yeah, no, no.
process.
I'm just explaining,
Mm.
but um, I just needed to like express that political climate. So I started off with Victor Castro the third.
Mm.
And I make the third because there's gonna be Castros before him. So like I want a story to tell later about the origins. So Victor Castro becomes this model of the Filipino Punisher. It's like Negan mixed with Kingpin. Negan from Walking Dead, bad dude attitude, you know what I'm saying? But he's a leader. He's actually the mayor of Tondo, Manila, of Manila basically.
Mm-hmm.
And his base of operations, things that go on, is in Tondo. Because while researching, um, Duterte, I kind of went into um, what would be the most grittiest part of the Philippines, and I came across Tondo, Manila,
Mm-hmm.
where like garbage is in the rivers, where like the homes look really signature of what it is to grow up in the toughest parts of the Philippines.
Yeah, Thunder's
So
famous for that.
after you create a setting, I think that's where you can kind of mold your character, your protagonist, the one that's gonna convey the message you're trying to to send through this comic book, through this story. Every story has to have a message. There's no point in telling stories without trying to help the person that's listening apply it to themselves.
Why did you choose Lapu-Lapu over the other heroes like, I don't know, national hero Jose Rizal?
Lapu Lapu it's crazy because he's a legend. There's no further history after Magellan. There's no whereabouts. There's no actual proof of his reign or his history after, which I chose Lapu Lapu for that reason. There's mystery behind him. He's the first Bayani. So I felt like what first recorded Bayani. Why is he like a greater warrior than his predecessors? Because he killed Magellan on the beaches. And it was something that empowered Filipinos for generations because they fought the Spanish 40 years off of the coast.
Definitely. Did you try to make the comic book as historically accurate as possible, or did you take some artistic license?
All artistic license. I don't want to fight with historians about what we know and what we don't. You know what I'm saying? I can't contend with them. Their knowledge. I don't want to look like an idiot. So, artistic license is the route that I choose over everything. You know, but this is all for the culture, man. Like I can't even lie. This is what Marlon would say. You know, and this is why that story has been written and is being produced to this point. To this point, fifth issue.
That's awesome. So, Filipinos, they have the tendency to be purist. What I mean by that is they will support you if they find out you're Filipino, but they prefer when you're born there. Having said that, have you heard any criticism that how can this Amboy be writing about our lives? He hasn't even lived there.
Right, right. I don't really focus on the Filipino struggle entirely. I don't speak on it. I think what I really chose as a safe ground for like criticism was just create the superhero. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go deeper into the upbringing of being from the Philippines, then let's put that in the hands of one of your greatest writers out there right now, teaming up with Bayani to tell the story. You know, I really just give points of his character in the first issue, like events and what the emotions of it would be. I'll let the FC novella writer create. You know what I'm saying? But I hold that creative license. I'm Stan Lee for the Filipino street hero Bayani.
That definitely. Oh, I saw that there's one, two, and then the rebirth. W- Like the
That's a
first
good
one is
question. Yeah, yeah, that's a good question because that was something my project manager Savvy Designs always brings up. He's like, "Bro, why are you starting from number 1 again?" And that's the greatest part about a good team. Like, you know, they make you question your actions. And I said this. I said, "Yo, I want to tell the story with more Filipino details. The first issue wasn't Filipino enough for me, bro. It really wasn't. Like if I was a non-Filipino, I wouldn't have sensed it being what made it unique for a Filipino besides being mentioned being in the Philippines. So when you go to Rebirth, that shit is a Filipino comic book, bro. From the opening, Mactan Island, 1521. Let's go. Blood on the sand.
I love it because you even include Enrique, the Magellan slave.
Yes, and that was an edit. That was an edit where I was like, for the historians, you know, let them
Just
let them know that I know something, and I know
yeah.
some things that should be included because there was no way that a Spanish dude would come to the Philippines and everybody like bow down. They had to have some type of, communication where they're like, all right, let's do this for this. So that's where Enrique comes in, you know? And it was just that, and they talked to him like, yo, da 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 da. And Enrique's like, this is going to be a tough one, guys.
By the way, for the ones that doesn't know, Enrique, at least historically, apparently Magellan has a slave that came from the Malay region, which
Yeah.
is, I don't know, it could be Philippines, Malaysia, whatever, Indonesia. And he brought him all over the world. And they say that he's the one who translated between the Spanish and the Filipinos.
Yep.
And there are some people that says too that he's actually the first one that circumnavigated the world.
Right, right. Because he survived. He didn't die with Magellan.
Exactly, because he started in the Malaya region, and then he end up in Europe, and then he end up in the Malaya region again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we're brown. Who cares, right?
Yo,
You know what
that's
I
a
mean?
dope detail, though.
Yeah, that's what they say. Listen, I'm not a historian. I have some people that actually know shit, but
Shout out Enrique for being the best personal assistant. He was his PA, bro. He was Magellan's PA.
so the characters design. Who thought of it? Did you think of it, or is your art? You let your artist do his job or her job?
While creating Bayani, I wanted to learn comic books, so I read something from Brian Bendis. Brian Bendis is one of the most uh culture shifting comic book writers for Marvel. He actually created the Civil War, the Secret Invasion. You know, Bendis did a lot of dope things. So I wanted to read a book about comic book creating from him, and he said like some of the best characters are archetypal. So most of the characters that I have are archetypal, but not to the point of this is an exact ripoff of Batman or an exact ripoff of Superman. Like, because I, as an American comic book reader, I personally hate stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of telling a story for the powers we already know? Like, I'm an X-Men fan. So every time there's an X-Men character with some type of power, I'm like, oh, that's fire. Like, I didn't know somebody could do that. You know, like I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like somebody like Forge from X-Men, super interesting Native American character that everything technology wise, he can understand it and improve it. So imagine Forge working with Tony Starks, like in Starks Industries, like him being employed by Starks with advanced technology to the next level. Forge could create anything, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything. Like he's fire. So like for me, I felt like when creating characters, I was like, let me give them characters they'll be familiar with, but also mix in characters that be like, ooh, like Bayani's power, like that gets revealed in the last issue. Like people are buying the book, not even seeing they just see him with a golden Uzi here and there, shooting off like he's Deadpool. But later in the story, because the golden Uzis is iconic, bro. The two golden Uzis is super iconic. It's hip hop, you know, like inspired. Havoc from Mobb Deep said in line where he's in a jacuzzi with a golden Uzi, something like that to that nature. And I just in that shit imprinted in my mind where I'm like, I want my character with gold Uzis. Like, you know, like a
Definitely.
Filipino Rambo mixed with Scarface. Like, that's crazy.
Hells yeah. I love the flying boom boxes.
Oh, yes, Cloud Hop. I'm glad you like that because I was like, angels are cool, right? Like I'm Catholic, I was born Catholic, but I was like, how can I express them next level? So like I mixed that with um the book The Prince. There was a book called The Prince written by a French author. It's a children's book.
Oh,
Super.
it's the is Le Petit Prince.
Yeah, I can never say it. You're interested. You got the French in you, bro. Uh,
No.
but so he would fly with birds on a string to different planets. The kid in that book. So I was like, yo, I want to give my narrator a way to travel anywhere without no one questioning how he got there. So I was like, and I come from that era of the boombox. I used to walk around with a boombox, like if I was in a Spike Lee film, because I used to rap. So I would go to parks and play beat tapes, and whoever raps, you know, they rap because they're gonna come to the instrumental. Yo, I said, you know what I'm saying? So it used to be fun. So I was like, yo, imagine an angel, no wings on him, but has boom boxes with wings and surfs on the turntable. How wavy is Silver Surfer mixed with the Prince, mixed with like, you know, angels. So it's like a crazy amalgamation of everything that people would be familiar with, seen before, but it's brand new at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Also, I love the names. My favorite is Jasmine, aka Mama Matai. Like,
Yeah,
what's up, yo?
Mama Mata, yeah. And it's crazy because like she's in pink armor, so you think she's like a powder puff, like pink
Mm.
armor, but she comes through. She really comes through in the story.
Mm. By the way, for the ones that doesn't know, Mama Matay is like in Filipino or Tagalog is killer.
For a female,
Yeah.
female lady killer.
I think she's my favorite character actually.
I like her, and she's multicultural. She's black, Puerto Rican, and Filipino.
Yeah.
American at its finest.
She reminded me of Jean Grey.
Jean Grey, really? That's crazy.
Just a little bit, yeah. I don't know why, but I just like, oh, this girl is like almost like Jean Grey, you know?
Right, right. She's the presidential guard.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like a bodyguard, next level power, on deck in a snap.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like the new Secret Service,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Speaking of characters, President Pacquiao, what's going on here?
Junior, Pacquiao Junior.
That kind of like, whoa, what happened here?
So one of the realest Bayanis, man. So Pacquiao, I was mad inspired by Pacquiao, being
Mm.
Filipino. When I buried my cousin in the Philippines, there was a Pacquiao fight that week. Everything, and it was free everywhere in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
People just gathered, watched the fight, and he was fighting I think Cotto, and he really broke him. Like he put a
Mm.
fight, but Cotto fought too. Cotto's a fighter. Like even if he's not the super champion, he's a
Mm-hmm.
champion in my eyes just for fighting that
Mm-hmm.
way. And he fought like how I wish Mayweather and Pacquiao fought.
Yeah,
You know,
but
but I chose Pacquiao as president because I felt like he has a pure heart. He's a superstar, yes, but I feel like people fear somebody as pure-hearted as him. And the thing is that he educates himself, and I think that's mad important. And even no matter how late in the game it is, like he's still gonna fight for what he believes in. So I believe at some point of this time, like maybe it would make sense. Maybe now is not the time. Maybe he
mm,
needs to, go through his preliminaries in the political arena, you know? And that's just my perspective of what I think would make him a better contender for the political arena and
mm,
surround himself with the best people he could, you know?
mm,
In this story, I give him a Nico agent. Nico's like the CIA of the Philippines,
mm,
national intelligence. Damn, I forget something organization. But that's their FBI, CIA vibe. So I give him that's his number one right there. And he looked like Bruce Lee. He never wears a shirt and he just has a black trench coat. And it's fire. I like Pacquiao as a president there because his relationship to the new United States of America, which is called the New West in the TCNY universe.
mm,
I feel like his relation to a Puerto Rican president is perfect too, because it's indigenous leaders,
mm,
leaders with indigenous origin,
mm,
in power, and
mm.
I like shifting this dynamic and having the power to shift the dynamic of the representative leaderships, you know. So I just believe in him. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, he's a national hero. That's no doubt. But the character looks like him. Can you be sued by that? Like the likeness?
I don't think he would sue me. I think he would invest, bro. I don't think he would come at me like that, honestly,
Mm.
because I'm waiting for him to see it. Facts.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when that day happens, I'm like, yo, bro, that's you. Nobody could be you, bro.
Nobody.
Facts.
Nobody.
And that's to promote his presidential campaign. What up, Pacquiao? What up?
But so obviously all the characters, the book is copyrighted. How do you apply for copyright?
It's just all behind the scenes stuff. It's all you can YouTube it. But as far as copyrights and everything, I believe that like the most important thing is that you have an actual demand, before you do it. There's no point in spending all that money to like have an unsuccessful product, you know. So make sure you test your product first. So I tested the product and it's building year by year, you know. And I think me solidifying myself more as a writer, my process, my business, like how I conduct my business behind the scenes, and just having the vigor to go out and sell it and represent it, you know?
Yeah, man. You selling it, man. Speaking of selling, New York Comic Con.
Yep.
What's up, man?
Yeah, they turned us down this year, but they debuted us. We were able to debut in 2018. And I was debuted with all the Filipino creators by CNN Philippines. So that was like a major kind of like move for myself because that solidified me as the creator of the Bayani character. Like solidified. Like even when they come out with a Marvel character named Agbayani, like to me, like it kind of like threw me off. But then I was like, but they'll never be me. They'll never tell my story. So at the end of the day, if they do have something called the same by the same name, uh, I'm already solidified in Marvel Comic Con. The fans know the truth. And if I have to change my name because they stole it, steal it, bro. You can't steal my soul though. You can't. You
Never.
can't steal my stories. No way. So
Never.
I don't even fear anything of that nature.
They turn you down. Do you mind talking about that? Why did they turn you down?
Yeah, for sure. There's no why. They always give you a different kind of like reason. But Marvel and DC's back. They're over the
Mm.
COVID. They're over the COVID stuff, and they're back. So all the indie creators, see you later. We got Marvel and DC now.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is. There was no space, and the regulars that did bow out because they were scared of COVID also, uh, they're back also. So the more staple guys, the more connected guys, the more industry guys are back on the scene. So the indies, we get pushed to the side, but there's a lot of indie conventions too. So for me, it's just all a matter of like finishing the series and getting a pitch deck ready to start going to bigger companies to say, yo, live action or anime.
Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Come to Montreal. We got Comic Con here.
Yeah, facts. That's yo. Canada has a lot of Filipinos.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big Filipino community out there. I'm definitely down to join the conventions out there.
Yeah, man. Do your thing, man. You put Tagalog's words once in a while in the line in the book.
Yeah.
What's that planned? Will you be adding more words in the future?
So like it was cool because like I was learning them at the same time. I put more basics than like linguistical like lessons. Like I didn't feel like because I'm Filipino American, so for me, I felt like that would be good for Filipino Americans and non-Filipinos, just to give them some Filipino vibes or learn something from the book. But I want to translate it in the Philippines because I don't even have that demographic yet. So what I started doing now is I'm doing like small promotions for people from the Philippines that are questioning how to get the book, and I'm letting them know right now we're sending you free digitals, via email. But when it comes time, we're gonna be out there. Comic October is really what I'm shooting for. Since Comic Con turned me down, I'm aiming for Comic in the Philippines.
Nice, man.
It occurs around the same time.
I'm sure you'll crush it. The lines, I find them a little bit westernized.
Hmm.
Like, do you worry that, some Filipinos, like, we don't speak this way?
Yeah, no, there's mad different languages out there. I'm not even gonna debate them. Yeah.
Not just the language, the way they speak.
Oh, the way they speak, like as
Yeah.
far as
Like sometimes there'll be a character, they'll say, oh, that's dope.
yeah, hell yeah.
Filipinos won't say that.
I'm not even worried about it
Mm.
because they in the Philippines they're kind of like influenced by American culture. So it's not about how they talk. It's more about like this is written by a Filipino American, so expect it to be written like an American. Like I'm not trying to front like I'm a super Filipino because I'm not. I'm super not Filipino. I'm Filipino American. So you're gonna get it, that way. You're gonna get a cheeseburger from me made an American way. Like I'm not killing the cow and chopping him up and doing all the extra shit.
Definitely. How do you make sure that your characters are authentic, that no one in the world has the same character, or at least there's likeness?
So it's impossible to not have other people steal your designs. Impossible. Like as soon as I'm on the scene, it's a wrap. Somebody's taking something from that, like straight up. Even the storytelling style. Even the fact that, there's Filipino characters. It'll be a white guy creating a Filipino character. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing new under the sun. And at some point, even as a rapper, you'd be like, "Yo, that guy bit my line, like he stole my bars," and it's just like, "Yo, bro." At some point, it's like, who cares? Just keep creating.
Mm.
So no matter what they like steal, like I said before, you can't keep creating like me. You're gonna keep stealing my stuff, and it's just gonna be a point of, bro, seriously? I'll see you at Comic Con, buddy.
Definitely. I love the logos too of the character.
Which one particularly stands
The
out?
the I think it's M and M like on
Oh,
top
the
of
M
each
and
other.
M. Yeah, it used to be
Yeah.
Mark Marvel.
Mm.
That was my Mark Marvel logo. But
Okay.
yes, but that's when Marlon died. He died when I was rapping as Mark Marvel.
Mm.
Yeah, so and that was dope too because the designer of that logo, he goes by the name In the Cut, and In the Cut gave it to me off the arm. Off the arm means free. He was
Mm.
and so, yo, my bad In the Cut, but you the bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he designs logos. But for me and him, we had a different relationship. He's like, yo, just throw down your maybe you use it in the future, like and in the future it became the logo of Bayani. So, when Bayani becomes super famous, he got to be there for the screening. I got to be like, yo, he actually made the Superman logo too.
That's
Nah, but
awesome.
but shout out In the Cut. You know what I'm saying? He already knows the tribe.
Hells yeah, hells yeah. There are other Pinoy characters in Marvel and DC. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited because that just means there's a job for me.
Hmm.
At first I was like, oh, I was the first one to make a Filipino street, and then it was funny because I debuted 2018 right with Bayani.
Hmm.
2019 Wave drops, and like I've learned to like be excited about things versus
Hmm.
feeling competitive. Like it's a communal effort. That creator is a Filipino guy, the artist. Um, damn, why is his name slipping my mind now? Um, damn, his name slipped my mind for some reason. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's
Ah.
a crazy fire artist. Um, Apologies for forgetting the name, but
Hmm.
when they created Wave, I was seeing how they were marketing it, and some things like that, like cultural characters, it seems kind of like they're just doing it because they want new responses because
Hmm.
comic books, their regular characters aren't selling. So they have to create something that will sell for the culture. So for me, I don't want to say it's a culture vulture kind of wave, but like no pun intended. But I believe that she could become something more major in the future with awesome writers. I feel like that should be Filipino,
Hmm.
whether they're Filipino American or a dope Filipino writer, comic writer from the Philippines. I feel like she should be told from a Filipino perspective and given her own book. She was put
Hmm.
as like a 4-page story in the back of other Asian characters' books. And I was just like, corny, bro. Like, put Ned's Lola like on a flight, meeting Wave, and that's gonna become a movie in itself, bro.
Definitely,
Ned's
definitely.
Lola from Spider-Man was the best, bro. That was the best.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's not much, but it's getting there.
Ned's Lola should be a character.
Yeah, hells
No?
yeah, man.
There-
All Lolas are characters, you know?
There's a dude named Kinjamin Art. I don't know if you've looked him up. Look him up on Instagram. He does covers for Ned's Lola. I'm trying to do a cover with him for like a Bayani short story or something in the
Mm.
back of this new book that I'm making called CCNY Anthology.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of short stories put together because I want to tell more stories past Bayani, honestly.
Hmm. Oh, definitely me.
So if it ever comes down to it and I'm pitching Bayani to Marvel, I'm gonna be like, all right, look, if you don't want to buy Bayani, let me write for Wave. Seriously, please.
Get it, man. Get it. Bro, this has been a fun conversation and very enjoyable, but I think we're there.
Fact.
But before we close out, you've done so much and there are more things to do, but what is the thing you're proudest of so far and why?
I think this is really what it is, man. The same reason me and you started with this conversation, creating the Bayani comic book series. has really allowed me to learn more about myself, my culture, you know, plus tapping in with empowering other Filipinos. And I think that's not just my only key for Filipinos, but for other people to champion their culture and who they are and learn where they come from. That's probably the best gift I could give, while I'm alive.
Wise word from a wise man. Again, Mark, maraming salamat po for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you for giving me the time, Aaron. And next time I'm gonna get my router and put it into the Bayani room.
Yes, man. Hells yeah. All right. Have a good evening.
All right, bahala na, man.
Bye. Thank you again, Mark, for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, listeners, for listening. This is Aaron Deliosa for An Immigrant's Life. I'll see you guys later.